world's population is predicted to be 10 billion by 2050, meaning we have to feed 2.5 billion more people. And to address this, we need to increase our food production by 70%. We've also got an exploding middle class, and 50% of today's populations are millennials and Gen Z who are placing new demands on the food system. Our food system is under severe pressure to produce more with less in a sustainable way, and at the same time we need to reduce waste, tackle global challenges like climate change, manage scarce resources of water, land and labour, and also solve for food safety and security issues. Unfortunately, we are living through the COVID pandemic. Challenges in the food supply system are further exacerbated with empty retail shelves, meat packing disruptions and price increases. We're seeing acceleration of new trends where home is the new workplace, where we dine in and order food, increase engagement with digital marketplaces, and look for opportunities for touchless interaction with automation and next-generation farming and proteins. Now innovation in agri-food tech has become even more important and more critical and urgent. The Agtech Revolution is here in the form of precision ag, big data AI, drones, control environment and next-generation proteins. We can't continue to do the same things the same way. We must innovate, adopt and embrace technology. This is why we set up Thrive, to advance the future of food and agriculture through innovation. Entrepreneurs and startups from around the world can solve these problems, and that is why we've built a vibrant agri-food ecosystem. Good day everyone, and greetings from Silicon Valley. I'm John Hartnett, founder and CEO of SVG Ventures Thrive, and I would like to welcome you to our Thrive Australia Challenge. I would also like to thank our global partners for all their support making this happen today. Before we get started, make sure to join us in today's conversation on our social channels using hashtag ThriveAustralia2020. SVG Thrive is a global investment and innovation platform based in Silicon Valley, and our vision is to advance the future of food and agriculture through innovation. Since 2010, we are ranked as the #1 most active agtech investor in the world by Crunchbase, and Thrive was recognized as the most valuable agri-food accelerator in the world by AgFunder. We work with over 40 agri-food corporations, and our startups have created over $1 billion in value. We have over 5,000 founders in our private network across 100 countries. We have a very exciting event planned for you today, and you will be seeing pitches from 11 high-potential Australian startups who are creating new technologies and advancing the future of food and agriculture through their game-changing innovations. What's more, they are also making an impact for global good. Earlier this year, we launched our Thrive Global Initiative with the US Secretary of Agriculture. Our objective is to solve some of the critical challenges facing the global agriculture industry and address the key initiatives highlighted by the USDA and the UN's Sustainability Development Goals. Our mission is to identify, accelerate, and invest in innovative solutions from early-stage startups that are positively impacting different regions of the world. We are doing this through a series of regional challenges in Australia, Canada, and Africa. And these will run alongside our Global Thrive 7 program. In 2021, we will launch Thrive Europe, Latin America, and Asia. This year, we had a record number of almost 700 applications from 78 countries around the world. We were extremely impressed with the high caliber of applications we received from right across Australia, and this made for a very competitive selection process. 11 finalists will pitch today for their Thrive Australia Challenge Award and an opportunity to advance to the global final of our award-winning Thrive Accelerator. The winner will also attend our 2021 Silicon Valley Bootcamp and receive automatic acceptance as an XTC Challenge finalist. We will also recognize the Thrive Female Founder Award and the People's Choice Award. Before we dive into the pitches, I'd like to welcome our special guests, Minister David Littleproud, Minister Jacqueline Symes, and CSIRO Executive Director Nigel Warren, who will share their insights on innovation and the future of food and agriculture in Australia.
Well, thanks for your kind invitation to this year's SVG Thrive virtual conference. Sorry I can't be there, but obviously in this COVID environment, this is the best I can get. Can I say thank you for your interest in Australian agricultural innovation? The Australian government sees it as one of its key planks to its 2030 Ag Plan. We're in fact investing over $86 million in 8 new innovation hubs right around the country to look at different production systems and bringing together not only our research development corporations, but our CRCs to make sure we have the cutting edge science and technology and the adoption by our farmers out in front of our farmers, not in universities in capital cities. So your commitment and your understanding and your energy towards this is so important to Australia's agriculture sector and making this the next pillar of Australian agriculture. So thank you for your interest and your enthusiasm, and we look forward to working with you and your participants well into the future. Have a great conference.
Delighted to be joined here today by Minister Jacqueline Symes, Minister for Agriculture for the state of Victoria. We first met last November when she led a delegation from Victoria to Silicon Valley. And in February earlier this year, we launched the inaugural Thrive Australia Challenge in partnership with the Victorian Government and CSIRO, Australia's National Science Research Agency. We hosted the first challenge at Launch Vic in Melbourne, where we selected 3 Australian startups, Platfarms, Hivekeepers, and Digmeres. These startups completed our 4-month program earlier this year. We invested in all 3 companies, and these companies presented at our Thrive Forbes Demo Day in September. And today we're delighted to now go into our second Thrive Australia Challenge. We've received applications from right across Australia, and today you'll get an opportunity to see the best of Australia pitched. Welcome, Minister. I think a lot has happened since we last met back in February. Hope you're well and healthy and keeping well there.
Yeah, I'm very well, John. It's good to be back with you. I can't believe it was only 12 months ago. I think, like many people, 2020 has felt like a decade. But one of the strong sectors of this year, when everyone has been having such a tough time, has been agriculture. And so fantastic to be back with you and encouraging our next generation, our smart thinkers and our problem solvers in this fantastic industry.
Excellent. And, you know, I know obviously you know Australia and Victoria really well. We have a global audience today. Maybe you might share, you know, why is Agtech important for the state of Victoria?
Look, it's absolutely vital for just the next generation of farming to take us to the next level. We've got fantastic innovators and fantastic farmers, making sure we join them up together so that we're attracting the next generation of our agricultural industry. But also what I've been seeing on the ground, and I'm lucky enough to be the Minister for Agriculture, you get to visit a lot of farmers on their farms and talking to the older farmers whose jobs are becoming easier than they were 50 years ago. They can stay in the job longer because they're supported by new technologies, whether it's pushing a button on the phone or the solar panels that are reducing your power bills. We're keeping farmers in this important industry longer and adding the extra benefit of the exciting technology and the robots and the gadgets that obviously are attractive to young people. So that whole new cohort that can help drive what is such an important industry here in Australia. Victoria, the state down the bottom of the country, we're the powerhouse of agriculture. We produce so much food for not only our state, but for the world. And that's where growth is for Victorian jobs and for employment opportunities for our people to live in country areas and to continue to grow our exports and make sure that our fabulous produce is in every corner of the world.
Excellent. I know one of our partners, Driscoll Berries, they work very closely with Costa in Victoria and do a lot of growing across the state. What are some of the challenges or the key challenges that you think need to be overcome, here?
Yeah, look, for me, it's certainly about why it's such a partnership with you guys is so important. It's about making sure that we're attracting investment There's a lot of good ideas out there, a lot of ways to make agriculture easier, but they need some financial backing to perhaps go to the next step. So really looking at opportunities for private investment and getting people more interested in the ag tech sort of field. But also in Victoria, we have to spend a lot of money working with our federal government on mobile and digital connectivity. Obviously, a lot of the new solutions and the new gadgets and the like require better connectivity. So wanting to make sure that we're trying to address those in our less populated areas of our state, which is obviously some pretty good agricultural land. So they're probably some of the barriers that we're addressing. But the one that we've been working on, also making sure that farmers know about the technology so that they can have it on ground. So we have a few trials in place that's just bringing people in, viewing the technology, having an opportunity to try it on your farm, because there's nothing better than a farmer telling another farmer about a new thing that's going to make their job that bit easier.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we've seen the same here over the years. Farmers are, they want to see the proof. They want to see, is this going to reduce the cost? Is this going to increase yield, etc. So it's so important to be able to demonstrate that in field environment. What would be your vision in terms of ag tech in Victoria and building out the Australian ag tech ecosystem?
Yeah, look, for me, it's about just firming up our future, attracting the next generation. And we've got a really strong interest in people wanting to have a less impact on our climate, help mitigate climate change. And so there's a really exciting sort of new, not new, probably newly badged interest in agriculture and how we can continue to grow such an amazing industry, continue to produce what we produce, but do it in a better way that is less impact on the environment. So that's a really great opportunity for ag tech, and so that's something that I'm really wanting to drive. We've got a really good budget outcome this year through the government to invest millions of dollars across the board in some of those areas that we really want to push, and that is helping farmers' jobs easier, helping them with their power bills. We've got energy grants and the like, and so they can be spent on these new technologies that we've been talking about. That's all been brought about because of ag tech. But I really think that ag tech can help Victorian agricultural industries be not only a leader, not only more productive, but really be setting themselves up for the future so that they can be good business, but also good for the environment. And I really see that's a really massive benefit of ag tech.
Great. And maybe just the last question in terms of our partnership. I mean, I've really enjoyed visiting Melbourne and getting to see what's happening, and also meeting with so many different entrepreneurs there. What's the partnership for Victoria? Why is an Australia challenge important, and our partnership here together?
Yeah, well, look, I think my visit to the Silicon Valley, I came back so energised about the opportunities for Victorian agriculture. Of course, I've had lots of people doing lots of good things for a long time, but an organisation such as Thrive and SVG Ventures is really about harnessing opportunities, giving people a chance to really make a difference to the agricultural sector through technology innovation, which needs the support from private investment and mentors and people that know what they're doing. And Victoria, we've got such potential, and we don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's much more beneficial for my farmers that I'm working with people that have been doing this for some time to really step in at a high level to start recognising the benefits. And I think when it comes to innovation in agriculture, everyone benefits when you're working together. We don't need to be doing this in secret little spots around the world. If you share the innovation, the technology, and the next steps of this industry, we'll continue to create a better footing for agriculture across the world. And obviously, the world is always going to need to eat. So working together, ensuring that food security for the world is a really good thing that we can do in partnership with each other.
Excellent. Well, Minister Symes, thank you very much. I mean, first and foremost, thank you for coming to Silicon Valley to meet us. I don't think we'd have been back down there if you didn't encourage us and kind of shine a light on Victoria. So we were really thrilled that you did that, and we're looking forward to a long partnership and looking forward to maybe getting to meet in person again. And thank you for your time today, and we're looking forward to seeing the entrepreneurs pitch live in the next few minutes here.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. Thank you so much for your time, John. And I wish everyone well. It's such an exciting opportunity to be able to pitch. And I think that this will be a long partnership that can bring about some really great opportunities for our joint interests in the amazing industry of agriculture.
Excellent. Well, thank you.
Thanks, John.
Delighted to be joined here by Nigel Warren, who is Executive Director for Growth at CSIRO and leads business development, commercial, global innovation, and their venture fund focus on deep tech technologies. And prior to that, Nigel was Australian Consul General and Senior Trade Commissioner in San Francisco, so he knows all about Silicon Valley and California. And he's also spent time in the private sector as Vice President of Worldwide Sales at Equilibrium, a US enterprise software company. Welcome, Nigel.
Thanks, John. Good to see you. And always learning about the Bay Area, so it's a journey for sure, but good to see you again.
Likewise, it seems like it was years ago when we spent time in Melbourne just this February for our Australian challenge, so glad that you're keeping well and healthy. And maybe we just jump into some of the questions here. Maybe for our global audience, it would be great to maybe frame out a little bit about CSIRO and what is CSIRO about.
Yeah, sure. So CSIRO is Australia's national research agency. So we've got a cohort of about 5,500 dedicated scientists and people that are focused on solving, large challenges across the environment, across society, and across the economy. But we are a national science research agency. We collaborate around the world. So, from where you're interviewing me today, we've got an office in the Bay Area, and we've also got a really strong global collaboration. About 2/3 of our scientists collaborate with a global partner. So, but at the forefront and at the foremost of what we do, it's all about bringing science and innovation and technology to bear on some of those big problems across those three spectrums. And we're kind of a little bit interesting in that we're very multidisciplinary. So we've got science groups that cover pretty much every facet of industry, and then we focus really heavily on bringing partners and SMEs and industry into the mix as well. So we're all about looking over the horizon, looking at big issues that we can put our science resources and science efforts to work, and we collaborate to do that. So we're solutions-based, we commercialize a great deal. We very much are probably looking at that spectrum where we can get that innovation off the science desk and into the hands of industry, as efficiently as we can. It's a big focus for us.
Excellent. Thanks, Nigel. And in agri-food sector, why is innovation in the agri-food sector important for CSIRO? And maybe, in a current environment with COVID, how has this made it more urgent?
Yeah, look, I'll talk about COVID, but just for a little bit of context, the agriculture and food part of CSIRO is actually the base of CSIRO. So 100 years ago when we were formed, we were actually formed around agricultural productivity and food. So that agricultural focus has been with us for a very long time. And we as an organisation are spread around Australia and throughout the world out in industry. So if you came to Australia, which I hope you will in 2021, you'll find that our agriculture and food work is actually out in the regions and in the rural parts of Australia. So it's kind of like a core foundation of CSIRO. Why is innovation important? COVID's unprecedented in terms of the disruption that it's brought to global supply chains, industries. You just see with the halting travel and migration, it's had massive impacts. So, as we see sort of this disruption to supermarket stocks, as we see disruption to food, we see disruption to hospitality, all of this kind of domestic demand disruption right through to retail. We're seeing huge shifts and huge shocks as you're seeing in other parts of the world. So that trend, that kind of fragility in supply chain, that limiting resource, has really made us really focus a lot more on specific areas of science and technology that we can apply to the immediate response, but also longer term look at the structural shift. So things like improving productivity, sustainability in cropping, livestock production. We're looking really heavily at aquaculture here, horticulture. You know, what innovation can we put to work in those areas to come up with, say, a new future that might be based on alternative proteins or higher value health and well-being food products, or, as I mentioned before, a much smarter supply chain through things like traceability that's far more advanced. All of those aspects, the short, the mid, and the long-term structural change, for us, innovation's the key. That is the answer if we're going to be able to work our way back short-term, mid-term, but set us up long-term to be operating very differently.
Excellent. Yeah, and we've definitely seen a similar thing here in the US, and you know, obviously COVID has accelerated a lot of the challenges and also innovations across the food supply chain. So definitely it's a world theme where innovation is kind of the tip of the spear going out of this pandemic. In terms of our relationship with CSIRO and Thrive, I know we launched our partnership earlier this year. We've been working for a few years. Why is this important for CSIRO, and what would be your vision here in terms of you know, where this is going to go to in the next few years?
Oh, I'm trying to think it's critical. I mean, the one thing I've really, you know, learned and valued over the 20 years that I've been working back and forth between not just the US and Australia, but in other parts of the world as well, is the partnership we've got with organisations like yours is going to give us the best opportunity to introduce, scale, and grow some of this new innovation that otherwise might find it really, really hard to find that right partner or find that right source of funding or find that right customer. It's really interesting, like what I said before, 2/3 of our scientists already globally collaborate. So in the area of Agtech, for example, one of our biggest collaborators is through the UC system in California. And that's awesome on the science side, but being able to have that real strategic partnership with Thrive on the business side and the innovation, I say, to impact side is huge. I mean, you mentioned the first program we held in Melbourne in February, had three Australian teams that earned cohort spots in the Silicon Valley Accelerator. And thanks to that accelerator program and the effort of our team in the US, we've got an office in the Bay Area. 2 of those teams have gone on to win grants. They've got new funding to really grow those businesses. That would not have happened. So the fact that this year, you with us launched Thrive Australia, and it's had 40 Australian teams competing, and 2 of those spots selected as CSIRO cohorts is something we just wouldn't be able to achieve. So, we were created, like I said, 100 years ago. We've been focused on improving our science, and I think in the food and agribusiness sector, the partnership with you is going to kind of like turbocharge getting that innovation into the market. So that partnership for me is a huge priority, and I'm kind of excited in this environment where it's been, a really tough, disruptive year, what we've been able to do. I can only imagine what we can do when we can get a balance back of, the face-to-face and the digital. It's going to be pretty interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And definitely it's a bit of a back to the future, story here. We're delighted by the partnership and really excited by the startups that we're going to see later on today who are going to be pitching. So Nigel, thank you very much. Really appreciated your time, and looking forward to visiting you in Australia very soon.
Thanks, John, and vice versa. I'm looking forward to being in the Bay Area in 2021, but thanks for your personal commitment and also the organisation's drive to make a difference. I think one of our core values is we want to really make sure our innovation side makes a difference and an impact. And I think that's a great, part of our partnership is our values are aligned as well. So I'm looking forward to 2021. Thanks.
Excellent. Thank you, Nigel. Thanks to our special guests for joining us today and sharing their insights on the importance of innovation in the agri-food sector. Now we have come to the highlight of today's event. I'd like to introduce you to our judging panel, who will share their insights and what they're looking for in a startup.
Hi, my name is Sam Buccolo. I'm the Design Strategy and Leadership Lead at Meat and Livestock Australia. I'm looking for a startup that is solving a real-world problem within a supply chain that can be scaled up and actually makes a material impact for the sector.
Hi, I'm Matthew Prent, General Manager for Strategy, Mergers and Acquisitions at Costa Group, Australia's largest fresh produce producer. It's a pleasure to join the Thrive Australia Challenge, and I'll be looking for startups with scalability.
I'm Susan Lucas-Conwell, and I am Executive Vice President for CSIRO North America. CSIRO is Australia's preeminent national science organization, and we are ready to partner with great teams looking to solve the global challenge of feeding 10 billion people.
Hello, my name is Sean Webb, and I'm the Manager of Innovation and Partnerships in Grain Technology at CBH Grain Group. I'm looking for a startup that can showcase their ability to solve real-world problems and a team that has a track record in doing so. Really looking forward to the competition.
I'm Alicia D'Souza, Corporate Development Manager at LIC. I'm looking for a startup that improves productivity and saves farmers time. My three key considerations are scalability, existing market engagement, and a resilient team.
My name is Chamidu Karnatilaka, and I head the Technology Innovations portfolio for GrainCorp. As a judge, I'm looking for truly innovative startups and founders in AgTech and food tech. The startups that can disrupt the market. Startups that are solving real world problems. And it's extremely important to me that the startups have a clear go-to-market strategy.
Thanks so much to all our judges. We really appreciate your time and participation. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank our mentors who provided very valuable advice and guidance to our startups as they prep for their pitches. This is a crucial part of our program, and mentors make a major impact for our entrepreneurs and their future journey. Thank you. And now I'm going to hand it over to Caelan and John to introduce our startups. Take it away, John.
As heard from the discussions today, Australia and our government is committed to ensuring the agribusiness and food sector is globally competitive. And as a country renowned for excellence in agriculture and food innovation, we are very excited to kick off the pitch session of today's challenge. I'm John Cassidy, Thrive's Director of International Business, and I'll be introducing you to our finalist startups along with my colleague Caelan.
Hi, my name is Caelan Simon, and I'm a Program Manager at SVG Ventures Thrive. John and I are so excited to share the 11 finalists that we'll be presenting here today. Each of the participants were chosen for their strong teams and innovative technologies, which are addressing key regional and global challenges. So, without further ado, I'd like to get us started with our first pitch. After working with leading organizations in Australia and Asia, including the UN's Food and Agricultural Organization and Rabobank, our first startup is the outcome of the world's leading blockchain pilot program. They are a blockchain-based platform connecting farmers with digital economies globally. It is my pleasure to introduce Bridie Olson, CEO and co-founder of Geora.
Let me introduce you to Dave. Dave lives in Narrabri, where he's growing premium Australian cotton. Now, Dave's got a pretty sophisticated operation, but he's forced to sell right after the cotton is picked. And he knows he could get a better price if only he could carry his produce a little further down the supply chain. To do this, Dave's willing to pay you 10% for a 3-month loan of $70,000. Would you lend to Dave? All right, now come with me a little further north to Papua New Guinea, where Ruth is a pig farmer in the Jakarta province. Each pig she farms is worth around $800 and Ruth has 3. Right now, she needs $200 to buy some feed and fix the fencing. But for Ruth, there's not even a bank to call. In fact, there are 570 million farmers globally and a $2.1 trillion funding gap each year. But the problem is, you can't lend to Dave. You can't see his cotton, you can't verify its premium quality, you can't communicate with him, you can't send him the cash, and he can't repay you. All right, now if you'll forgive me, I'm going to summarize a world of statistics into a single statement. our global supply chains work against our farmers. Our farmers are price takers. They're vulnerable to fraud and counterfeit industries without access to much needed, affordable and timely finance. But at the same time, they're under increasing pressure to be more sustainable, more efficient, more secure. Agriculture is the least digitized industry, and despite all the technologies available to us, we don't have any of the digital systems in place to deliver the traceability, security, and finance farmers need globally. At Geora, we're changing this. Geora is a digital platform full of really simple tools available online to help farmers trace, trade, and finance their businesses. We're kind of like Squarespace for agri supply chains. Our goal is to connect farmers with digital economies and give them access to capital where and when they need it. And how do we start? Well, we get started by building digital trust. We integrate fragmented data to a single asset record, which is shared securely along the supply chain. And this gives financiers information that they need to value produce, make risk assessments, using real-time data delivered straight from the farm. Now, I'd be surprised if anyone in this virtual room hasn't at least heard the hype around the promises of blockchain for farmers and for supply chains globally. But my belief is that there's been a massive problem with its rollout. Blockchain's been both too costly and too technical. The world of blockchain has been the world of multi-million-dollar pilots for already vertically integrated companies. It hasn't held to its promises. But we believe agriculture does deserve the best of emerging technology. So Geora is bridging the gap between base blockchain protocol tech and the agri use case. Our customers are cooperatives, industry bodies, and agribusinesses with a mandate to improve the lives of their farmers. So how does it work? Well, simply, we're giving Dave the tools to create a traceable digital record of his cotton. You, as the financier, can receive updates in real time as the cotton is picked on farm. You can verify its organic certificate, value the cotton, set up the requirements for payments, and even deliver the finance to Dave. We've been working in this space for the past 5 years with some pretty big players in the market, including Rabobank and CBH Group. And since we launched our platform in 2019, we've had over 35,000 digital asset records created. And as an industry agnostic platform, we're not bound to any jurisdiction. So we have early or live projects in every continent. We continue releasing new features on the platform with our certificate registry launching just 2 months ago. Geora operates a freemium model, so you can go to either of these links on the screen and get started today. And a little sneak preview of what's to come, our next big step in 2021 is launching payments within the system. Our team is a team of agribusiness professionals, farmers, and software engineers. My name is Brady Olson, and I am the CEO and co-founder. For the past 5 years, we've worked at the junction of blockchain and agriculture as global leaders in the space. But we also work with farmers every day. 80% of our founding team grew up in rural Australia. So while we're technical people, we have a really deep understanding of ag. We're always looking for new ways to use and grow our platform with technical partners, investors, industry participants, and we believe that being part of the Thrive ecosystem would be the perfect way to scale our partnership model and grow value for our network. So thanks for your time this morning, and I really look forward to connecting soon.
Our next presenter is working with some of the largest agribusinesses and corporate farms in Australia. As a service, they utilise data already collected from the farm with machine learning algorithms to advise farmers on how to apply the right amount of fertiliser at the right time. In essence, they aim to take the gamble out of fertiliser decisions. Here's Darren Hughes, CEO of Laconik.
At Laconik, we believe today's fertiliser decisions are far from perfect, and there must be a better way. In 2017, Wayne Plusky and I founded Laconik, and John joined us early last year as our CTO. Together, the three of us are taking this idea, developing a solution that's gaining real traction in the market. For Wayne and I, solving this problem is personal. My family are fifth-generation wheat farmers here in Western Australia. I understand the impact that poor fertiliser decisions can have on farm profitability. For Wayne, he's developed most of the incumbent models that farmers use to make fertiliser recommendations. After 30 years of working in this space, he's decided the current models cannot be improved any further. Fertiliser is the single biggest operating cost in growing a crop of wheat. Farmers are spending up to $100 per hectare, or 30% of their cost, just on fertiliser, and they have no idea of the return on investment from their expenditure. Farmers are losing up to $200,000 a year in lost revenue from poor fertiliser decisions. Here in Australia, if we get our fertiliser decisions right, we could increase revenue by nearly $5 billion. If that's the opportunity in Australia, imagine the global opportunity. Current solutions are failing farmers. More than 90% of the market are currently applying the same rate of fertiliser everywhere. More recently, that's within the last 20 years, some farmers have started using imagery. But after 20 years, we believe that less than 10% of the market are using imagery to vary their fertilisers. If this technology would have gained traction, it would have made it by now. However, at Laconik, we believe there is a better way. What we're doing at Laconik is using advanced maths to work out better fertiliser responsiveness, and then we're applying that to make a better fertiliser recommendation. We've developed a unique proprietary algorithm using historical data that makes a better recommendation on how much wheat a farmer will grow for every kilogram of fertiliser that they apply. To access our technology, the farmer can simply log onto our website, create an account, share their historical yield data, and purchase a recommendation. From there, they can send that recommendation direct to their machine and apply the fertiliser. Here at Laconik, we use a pay-per-use revenue model. Early testing from our technology has shown that farmers can improve fertiliser decisions by up to $20 per hectare. To the average farm, this is worth $60,000. Our market traction has been great. We have a little over 500,000 hectares of data in our system from more than 400 farms. We are working with some of Australia's largest agribusinesses, largest family farms, and largest corporate farms evaluating our technology. Our market opportunity for Laconik is global. We believe that there's more than 700 million hectares of crops grown globally. More than $250 billion a year is spent on fertiliser. But the number that I really want to draw your attention to is the $300 billion of environmental cost that poor fertiliser decisions are making. For the case of nitrogen, after 40 years, the best nitrogen use efficiency we can achieve is 50%. And for every bit of nitrogen we lose, it turns into a greenhouse gas 300 times more toxic than carbon dioxide. There's got to be a better way.
Farmers around the world, no matter what crop type they grow, worry about one thing: the weather. Climate change continues to escalate unpredictable weather events such as drought, frost, heat stress, and rain. But luckily, our next presenter and his team have designed a solution that helps improve the coverage and quality of insurance for farmers everywhere. Now presenting is Dale Schilling, CEO and co-founder of Hillridge Technology.
Meet Ray, a wheat and sheep farmer near Geora. Here is a young man in the 60s. He's looking over a bumper crop, but he's worried because he can't get the insurance he needs to protect his business. He can buy fire and hail insurance, but what really worries him is drought, frost, heat stress, and too much rain just before harvest. He manages his land well over the years, but in the end, his health fails, and sadly, he sells the family farm at the height of the millennium drought. I'm Dale Schilling, CEO and co-founder of Hillridge, and Ray was my dad. Farming has always been a risky business. The weather is the one big risk that farmers can't control, and yet it drives so much of their income volatility, as you see on this chart. But there are three macro trends that are increasing that risk. First is climate change, which is increasing climate volatility and extreme weather events. Secondly, global markets have decoupled price and volume. You know, it used to be that when there was a local drought, local prices would increase and the two would offset one another, but that now no longer happens. And thirdly, agriculture is becoming increasingly capital intensive. The average farmer has over a year's revenue in debt to repay. Large corporate agribusinesses manage these weather risks by accessing the weather derivatives market, but small and medium-sized businesses don't have that same access. And that gap, that lack of financial tools to manage weather risks, is a problem shared by hundreds of millions of farmers around the world. The insurance industry calls it the climate protection gap. Globally, it's a $70 billion problem and a $5 billion opportunity for technology companies. Now, this problem is not because of a lack of data. Weather data, soil data, and crop models have all improved dramatically in recent years. It isn't because of a lack of demand from farmers either. We've interviewed over 400 farmers, and over half reckon they are willing to pay an amount that makes the insurance financially viable without subsidies. The fact is, local insurers simply cannot risk their business by accumulating more weather perils locally. And so Hillridge has been working with large global insurers interested in agriculture as an offset to the metropolitan risks already in their portfolio. Our digital platform helps farmers buy weather index insurance to protect against drought, frost, heat stress, or too much rain. The farmer customises the policy so it's right for them. They get a price in seconds, and once they pay their premium, they're covered. If that weather event occurs, their payout is fixed and guaranteed. So how do we do this? First, we use a form of cover called parametric insurance, based on metrics like temperature or rainfall, rather than paying out a percentage of the loss. Next, we synthesised the know-how of world-class agrometeorologists, climate scientists, and actuaries into our algorithms. What would have taken an analyst dozens of hours and a bit of dark arts to calculate can now be computed in milliseconds. This allows the end-to-end process to be automated, quoting, binding, and settling contracts, and managing the portfolio of risks. This makes the variable cost for each policy negligible, which in turn reduces the minimum contract size by 2 orders of magnitude. This makes weather insurance accessible both for small and medium-sized businesses in developed countries, for farmers like my dad, but it also opens up micro-insurance targeting smallhold farmers across the developing world. So how do we make money? We license the technology to the insurer, who in turn pays us a percentage of every dollar of premium revenue generated. We signed with Liberty Specialty Markets in June this year and launched in September, generating $43,000 in technology fees to Hillridge Technology so far. Our global insurer is willing to underwrite the product because we're filling a gap in their customer base and lowering their portfolio risk. The underwriter's agent enjoys lower costs from our automated settlement and reporting, and we're partnering with 4 insurance brokers who can now focus on engaging with their customers rather than manual transaction handling. We've self-funded the technology and business development and just raised $460,000 in an angel round to develop the next generation of products and to augment our team. By 2040, climate change means that catastrophic weather will hit our farms at more than double the rate of today. Despite this, farmers like my dad should never have to worry about losing their farm because of the weather. I'm Dale Schilling, and Hillridge provides financial shelter from the storm. Thank you.
Crop irrigation is fundamental to the global food production. And with Australia being the world's driest inhabited continent, efficient usage of water is critical. SWAN Systems targets enterprise-scale water managers to make data-driven decisions on how to optimize the quantity and timing of water and nutrient applications. I have the pleasure of introducing Tim Hyde, CEO of SWAN Systems.
Hi, I'm Tim Hyde, CEO and co-founder of SWAN Systems, an enterprise software business based around managing water, nutrients and crop health. Thanks for the opportunity to present to the Thrive Accelerator program. The global farming challenges around water scarcity, climatic volatility and increasing regulation are well understood. No longer can we just rely on Mother Nature and gut feel. Data is driving a new approach. But this is creating additional challenges, and we keep hearing of farmers feeling like they are drowning in numbers. The new opportunity is to turn data into insights. The wonderful thing about data is it can help guide management to grow more profitably, but this needs to be easy, quick, and suit the user's technical capacity. Current solutions are great, but are limited for a number of reasons, which has delayed adoption in farming. Founded by farmers from Australia, the world's driest inhabited continent, living the problem of water scarcity and challenging climatic conditions has shaped the accuracy and rigour of the product. With a team of specialists and founders, we have created a platform that is driven by practical application and deep user engagement. Which brings me to the major point of difference, as SWAN's business model is based around ending the traditional linking of software packages to proprietary hardware. SWAN is hardware agnostic, a so-called passive disruptor, as we harvest data from existing on-farm sources. To date, we collaborate with over 70 commonly used devices. Innovation through collaboration has simplified the investment decision, as being software only, there is no need to replace existing hardware. The operating objective is to provide farmers with a one-stop shop to avoid siloed data across multiple platforms. SWAN's modular approach brings together related applications like water budgeting and monitoring, environmental reporting, optimized irrigation, nutrient scheduling, and satellite imagery for crop health checks. We have automated the whole irrigation process for those that desire it, but we also recognise that many farmers want a personal interface between technology and the crop, so our dashboard is set up to provide deep insights into key operating metrics. SWAN allows you to create an exact management blueprint to manage a crop as required by its growth stage, save this strategy and repeat it in the future. It's powerful. There's a whole heap of reasons why not getting water and nutrient management right throughout the season will affect the crop's performance and bottom line. It actually doesn't matter if it's cotton, potatoes, grapes or nut crop. Water and nutrients are significant levers to pull to maximise returns. Whilst the initial market was agriculture, it quickly became apparent that all irrigators would benefit from SWAN. Getting the right balance of water and nutrients often accounts for 80% of a plant's agronomic needs. Success in farming isn't always straightforward and can mean many things to many different operations. Whilst driving profits is most common, agronomically success may include improving fruit packouts, increasing water use efficiency, increasing yields, or even decreasing vine vigour to control fruit quality, as in the case of wine grapes. The flexibility SWAN offers an enterprise to prioritise their specific goals is like no other. With over 160 accounts across 45,000 acres of land, we have demonstrated product market fit with significant traction and zero churn to date. Our customer base includes many corporate and family farms who, after successful trials, are expanding SWAN's use. These same businesses represent over 1 million acres of irrigated land if fully deployed. We have also made inroads into select international markets, including New Zealand, Zimbabwe, and Singapore. The market opportunity is clearly global, and we have added benefit of there being multiple proven verticals within the global frame. Our assessment of the TAM is 11 billion, and based on what we think we can currently obtain, the SOM is estimated to be at least 75 million. The business model is SaaS, and the product and business are built to scale. We have customers as small as a single school through to a large vegetable grower with 700 fields of different crops and different cropping cycles. We have also leveraged channel partners in various forms to speed up our expansion. The founders have bootstrapped the business to date with around $5 million invested. It is now time to raise a Series A investment to fast track our growth and position ourselves for expanding both our Australian and New Zealand businesses and pursuing global opportunities. We have a unique offer which is proven and scalable, and a team that is up for the challenge. Thanks for listening.
I don't think I would be doing this challenge any justice unless I made at least one reference to a kangaroo. And thankfully, Lachlan helped me out so I didn't have to make one up myself. He and his team have created their business to replicate the inherent digestive system of a kangaroo, but for livestock. And as much as I would love to go into more detail here, I will leave it up to Lachlan Campbell, CEO and co-founder of ProAngi, to talk about their patent-pending probiotic.
The problem is food needs to be affordable, abundant, and with a lower environmental footprint. By 2050, we will need to produce 70% more food without producing 70% more greenhouse gas emissions and using 70% more antibiotics. How can farmers do all this, reduce greenhouse gas emissions from ruminants, do it with limited resources, reduce the need for antibiotics as growth promoters, and not blow the economics of farming out of the water? How would it be if red meat producers had the tools to lower antibiotics and greenhouse gas emissions? And what if those same tools made farmers more profitable? How quickly could we create meaningful and sustainable change to an entire industry? Well, at ProAngi, we make those tools. Hi, I'm Lachlan Campbell, CEO and co-founder of ProAngi. It all started with kangaroos. For 20 million years, they've thrived and survived in one of the harshest climates on Earth. They're the gold standard of feed efficiency, emit little or no methane, and do it without any antibiotics. To put some numbers on this, kangaroos take 5 kilos of grass to put on 1 kilo of red meat, while in the same paddock, sheep and cattle require 20 kilos of grass just to do the same thing. Sheep, cattle, and kangaroos are all foregut fermenters. So why couldn't sheep and cattle mimic kangaroos? And they are the questions that started ProAngi 5 years ago and brought together a team with qualifications as broad as ruminant microbiology, nuclear medicine, agronomy, and law, and experiences diverse as academia, lab science, accountancy, and startup management. The key to our technology is the anaerobic bacteria in the rumen. They are 95% of the microbiome and are the important species for manipulating rumen function to improve output, decrease emissions, and reduce the need for in-feed antibiotics. They're difficult to culture and they are difficult to shelf stabilise, making them nearly impossible to commercialise. Until now. Collaborating with academic institutions, we've developed a patent-pending technology platform that produces a range of shelf-stable anaerobic probiotics. We've taken strict obligate anaerobes, cultivated them commercially, removed the need for cold chain storage, extended their shelf life, and reduced the overall volume needed to get results. The ability to commercialise anaerobic bacteria is unique and can be applied to other bacteria that we've identified that manage lactic acid, improve feed efficiency, or literally eat methane before it leaves the animal. To date, this technology has reduced the transition time for cattle from grass to grain down by 75%, 21 days down to 3, with the animals healthy and putting on weight. Now for farmers, this speeds up production and saves nearly $100 a head, all without any antibiotics. In 2018, we launched our first product into the Australian market, Protect, which is a patented prebiotic for feedlots. Protect produces 20% faster growth with 20% less feed without using in-feed antibiotics and lowers farming's contribution to the global problem of antimicrobial resistance. It is disruptive technology, but it doesn't require behavioural change on farm. Farmers love it because it's a simple switch out. It has the same inclusion rate delivered the same way they've always done and can be used in small and large feedlots around the world. But the best part about Protect is no one buys it because it's antibiotic free. Farmers buy it because it makes financial sense for them. And that's how you create lasting and sustainable change in agriculture. It just won't happen unless farmers make money. For some Protect users, it's made so much financial sense that they've become investors in our company. Now, it's sold over $3.5 million at retail, fed over 1 million animals and taken out over 1,000 kilos of antibiotics from the feeding system. Now margin is 12 cents per head per day. So one feedlot with 250,000 head on feed provides a contribution margin to ProAngi of nearly $11 million. That represents less than 1% of the US feedlot market alone. Protect is sold nationally throughout strategic partnerships with feed manufacturers that license our IP. It is scientifically validated in Australia and in the US, including trials at West Texas A&M. It has no significant regulatory hurdles for markets internationally. We can change animal agriculture to produce abundant, affordable food with a more sustainable and smaller environmental footprint. Now we are currently raising capital and seeking relationships that bring leverage to address a simple question: how quickly can we create that change? Thank you.
More than 30% of the food produced in the world every year is wasted. Fragmentation, lack of transparency and logistical inefficiencies of the fresh food supply chains are the main causes of food waste. This next company has developed a quality management technology that combines on-the-ground food and crop intelligence with proprietary machine learning analytics. Here is Daniel Pellice, CEO and co-founder of Rubens Technologies.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Pellice. I am the co-founder and CEO of Rubens Technologies. About 30% of the food produced in the world every year is wasted at some stage along the supply chain. That is about $1 trillion worth of waste. And the reasons are to be found in the complexities associated with the supply chain of perishable products, where items change hands many times, so that it is difficult for every single player to keep track of the quality of the products as they go from producers to consumers. And the consequences are obviously economic, financial losses for producers and distributors, but also health problems associated with the consumption of spoiled or poor quality food or poorly labeled food. At the same time, the situation favor malicious acts like food frauds that are especially important for premium and high quality food. At Rubens Technologies, we decided to address this problem starting from fruit quality. Rubens is the combination of a spectral sensors and a machine learning engine. The sensor captures the spectrum of the light emitted by a product, and the machine learning analytics transform this data into commercial quality indicators for those crops. At the same time, the spectrum of a product is a molecular fingerprint of that product, so that a unique characteristic of the product can be identified as a point of difference between this product and others. Just to give you an example of how Rubens might be used in the field. A grower can take our handheld sensor out in the orchard and scan a few fruits, and in real time get information on a smartphone about, say, the sugar content or the firmness of those fruits. And so this information is used by the growers to organize the logistics around harvest timing, to predict the best time for harvesting, to deploy the workforce, and so on. At the same time, this data is already digitized and so ready to be shared with the next step of the supply chain with a buyer or agent of the grower. Our go-to-market strategy is designed to go hand in hand with our tech readiness level, so that we started to work with growers and growers associations, and we are planning to actually move on to quality assurance and precision agriculture, and then larger producers and distributors. Crop intelligence is front and center our target market, and the growth of this market is projected to go together with the growth of robotics and automation in farming. But obviously, we are keeping an eye on the larger markets down the road on food provenance and food safety. I am a technical founder. I have developed the technology and the machine learning analytics for crop prediction, and I'm fortunate enough to work with Lisa Soloj, who brings a wealth of expertise in deep tech innovation and commercialization. And at the same time, the access to the all-star advisory team of RTI Ventures. Rubens Technologies was founded in 2018 on the back of the amazing regional accelerator Rubens HQ out in Geelong, Australia. And we bootstrapped our way since through grants and pilots with customers. Since this year, we have secured a contract with Summer Fruit Australia for the prediction of quality indicators on stone fruit for export, together with in a project with Food Agility CRC in Agriculture Victoria. At the same time, we have an agreement. We signed an agreement with Agtech, one of the leading precision farming providers in Southeast Asia, to be able to access the larger producers in the region. Our product is now on an advanced stage of development, and we are collecting orders and expression of interest for a launch in 2021 with growers, with a subscription model for growers. The situation is then good for us to start raising funds, raise seed funds that will help us scale essentially through key hires, product and market development. We have secured 2 provisional patent applications on our products, so the hardware and the scanning verification process, so that we are planning to leverage any funds that we are able to raise with an accelerating commercialization grant that is available here in Australia. My name is Daniel Pelliccia. I am the co-founder and CEO of Rubens Technology. It was really great to be able to present here at Thrive Challenge Australia. Thanks everyone for listening.
This next solution is bringing together mass telecommunication coverage, cheap smartphone devices, and blockchain for people living in and working with the last mile. This operating system provides an accessible tool to connect and establish more effective lines of communication and ethical means of trade. Here is David Davies, founder and CEO of AgUnity.
So this $50 AgUnity phone will enable a smallholder farmer to lift herself out of poverty. And will do for millions of farmers just like her what Alibaba did for the manufacturers of China. This very phone will soon be given to a farmer in Ethiopia or Papua New Guinea, and it may be the most life-changing possession she ever owns. But it's obviously no ordinary phone. The problems of a small farmer, someone living on just a few dollars a day, will be very hard for you to appreciate, because where you and I grew up, those problems might have been solved 100 years ago. Lots of crops just go to waste due to poor supply chains. Farmers get really low prices for small amounts of goods because the buyers need to pay cash and take the risk. And when farmers do get paid cash, especially women, it's hard to save or use for things that could improve their lives. For 1 billion small farmers, everything is more difficult than we can imagine. The problems that AgUnity solves might seem basic to you or I. We reduce waste by ensuring crops get picked up. We reduce the dependency on cash on the spot, which leads to the lower prices. We enable farmers to order products online and connect to banking. But most importantly, AgUnity improves trust and cooperation between farmers, buyers and cooperatives. And by working together as a group, our farmers have increased their income by up to 3 times in a single season. And that's life-changing. The hard bit is making all this work in a way that's suitable for a remote farmer. And to do that, we rethought and redesigned how a smartphone works right from the ground up. We solved the key challenges that a simple app or a normal Android phone just can't, such as a user experience for people with low literacy and no prior experience with technology, dealing with the poor connectivity in remote regions, and securely recording all transactions on the blockchain for improved trust. This is a largely unaddressed market of billions of people, so we don't do this alone. There are millions of good organizations trying to support and work with those last mile communities, and they all struggle to connect with those people efficiently. And that's the second thing AgUnity does. We connect all those organizations to the last mile user with this. And once we made a phone that was relevant and useful for the farmers, we discovered a vast number of organizations would pay us to give the farmers the AgUnity phones. And not as a charity, but because they have a genuine ROI. They need exactly what we built. Organizations selling products and services to the last mile, banks doing financial inclusion services. Our biggest market is the commodity buyers like Fairtrade for coffee and cacao. And of course, the NGOs that are already investing millions of dollars and need better transparency. We collect subscription and transaction fees from the farmers, but we already have over $1 million in annual project revenue from our partners. And the biggest opportunity is to develop a marketplace for commodity buyers to connect to the small farmers for produce like coffee, cacao, and vanilla. We've completed 7 successful projects around the world, And we've just confirmed our 4 biggest projects, deploying to thousands of fair trade coffee farmers and USAID in Kenya, and with CASA for tens of thousands of farmers in Uganda, and World Food Programme in Egypt, just like the one we completed in Ethiopia. We have an incredible and diverse team with deep experience in technology, farming, sustainable development, and operations. And our executive team have decades of experience in their respective areas. I grew up on a farm, but worked in senior executive roles in investment banking, including Goldman Sachs and Lehman, and previously founded 2 successful companies in Japan and Singapore that were both acquired. And we've won numerous awards and been studied and recognized by leading NGOs, universities, and others as a model of positive impact technology. Up to 2018, we raised a bit under $1 million. Last year, we had over $1 million of revenue, didn't need to raise funding. This year, our target's over $2 million, and we've already substantially oversubscribed the Safe Note part of our Series A. This year, our focus is on improving farmers' lives, and we have really good project revenue. But next year, we'll hit serious scale on many of our current projects, and with tens of thousands of users, our revenue will increase from the transaction and subscription fees. But by 2023, we will be a global food marketplace, doing for small farmers just what Alibaba did for manufacturers in China. And by doing that, millions of people will escape poverty. I'm David Davies, and thank you very much.
Our next startup is the first of its kind. They have created and deployed the world's first proprietary direct-to-satellite ear tag to revolutionize the livestock industry. The Smart Ear Tag delivers GPS location, health and welfare monitoring, and even theft detection. I would like to introduce Lewis Frost, Chief Operating Officer of Ceres Tag.
Hello, my name is Lewis Frost and I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Ceres Tag. We're a comprehensive animal monitoring platform who recently developed the world's first and only direct-to-satellite smart ear tag for livestock. There is no other solution like this on the market today from a competitor standpoint. It's highly proprietary and incredibly well protected from an IP perspective. It's also soon to be the world's only accredited smart tag. That is to both international and national standards for the mandatory programs around the world that see hundreds of millions of animals receive tags every year. We developed this solution to face the problem of providing enough food, fibre and fodder for the growing global population in the face of less available arable land and fresh water resources. That's really a farming problem, but we likewise see a challenge right across the supply chain from a food safety and traceability perspective. And we have the modern consumer who has never cared more nor known less about the provenance of their food. So we're really working across 3 unique challenges in the food system. Tag itself contains a range of technologies. I'll just touch on a few here today. First of all, the GPS device inside the tag. This means that from birth all the way through that animal's life, we can monitor precisely where that animal has been anywhere on the surface of the earth. And thanks to the advanced accelerometer in the tag, we also know exactly what the animal was doing whilst it was in those locations, and even what kind of welfare experience it had right across the entire supply chain. Now, there's many more benefits that are listed here on this slide that flow on to those people responsible for managing those animals at different points throughout the supply chain. And thanks to the unique battery chemistry and solar panel combination in the tag, it will continue to function for over 10 years. Again, no other smart tag on the market has a battery life in excess of 10 years. The market I'm referring to is primarily cattle. So at launch, we'll be targeting the 1.2 billion head of cattle around the world. In 2 to 3 years after that, with some refinements to the device, we'll be targeting the small ruminant market as well, which adds an additional 2.4 billion head of addressable livestock. We already have, based on the technology in this tag, a companion animal prototype for domestic cats and dogs, and we're working on developing a dedicated wildlife solution where we've seen such strong interest and uptake in the technology for those wishing to monitor wild animals. The assumptions here you can see from a market perspective are very conservative and only reflect hardware and data sales into cattle alone across a 10-year time horizon. The team that's going to help us get there, starting at the top with our directors and co-founders, we have people with a fantastic track record in international telecommunications, engineering and infrastructure, and a dedicated advisory board specialising in animal health pharmaceuticals, data monetization strategies, and IT and data systems. At the management team, I lead a team directly myself, but we also include our partners and contractors in manufacturing, animal science and research, and dedicated design team who are recognised as world leaders and are award-winning in their own right. Right now, we're just preparing to produce 3,000 tags that we've sold as our beta prototypes. That has put us into a post-revenue operations phase, generating over $360,000 in revenue for the business. They'll be deployed into 9 countries around the world. This will be followed shortly thereafter by the complete launch of our commercial e-commerce platform, offering the tags to everyone around the world in May 2021. We offer a very strong investment proposition for anyone who's interested. We're currently raising up to US $10 million at US 25 cents per share, and we have a full financial model to support the projections and claims around capital growth and dividends achievable across the next time horizon for our business. Thank you.
This next pitch is for a product called Creotec. It utilizes a multi-strain inoculant that contains 3 strains of bacteria with different modes of action, which enable the product to be used in a variety of crops and conditions. This patented formulation improves nutrient uptake, minimizes leaching and runoff, and improves soil health. Welcoming Lisa Anderson, founder and managing partner of Thinkbio.
Good morning, I'm Lisa Anderson. I'm the Managing Director and founder of Thinkbio. There's mounting pressure on growers to reduce synthetic inputs on farm, and some of this is coming from the growers themselves wishing to farm more sustainably, including improving their soil health, reducing nitrogen leaching, and reducing the greenhouse gas production associated with the production and use of nitrogen fertiliser. And then there's the external pressures on growers to reduce their synthetic inputs. And this includes environmental regulation. It also includes pressure from consumers and companies within the food supply chain wishing to have more transparency around the way the food is grown and source sustainably grown crops. So these combination of pressures are really making growers rethink their current practices and reduce their reliance on synthetic fertilisers. So if a grower wishes to reduce their nitrogen fertiliser on farm, if they continue with their current practices, this is most likely going to lead to a decrease in yield. So growers are actively seeking new technologies, new solutions to be able to farm more sustainably, but at the same time either maintain or increase yield. And our solution to fulfil this need is Creotec. Creotec is Thinkbio's core product and allows growers to reduce nitrogen by up to 40%. It is able to increase yield by up to 20%, and it reduces input costs by an average of $30 a hectare. Creotec incorporates the active microbial technology, and this was developed and patented by Thinkbio. It's a combination of selected strains of microencapsulated bacteria and a proprietary formulation. And this is able to deliver the nitrogen to the plant. So Creotec has a number of competitive advantages. One is the proprietary formulation of Creotec, and this allows Creotec to be applied as a foliar application to the plant. Now, this leads to high rates of inoculation and colonization, which gives a good, consistent product efficacy. In contrast, the competition is often applied to the seed or soil. Now, in the soil, there's a lot of variability. This could be in the form of pH, temperature, competing pathogens, which often creates a low number of beneficial bacteria and therefore a more inconsistent product efficacy. So the key competitive advantage here of Creotec is really the consistent product performance in the field. Thinkbio was established in 2015, and although the technology was actually developed in 2011, we launched the first iteration of the technology under the Trifixum brand in 2016. In 2017, we had investment by a biological company based in Spain, Symborg, and we also undertook a 2-year product development program where we improved the ambient shelf life of the product and made it more compatible with selected chemicals. So we relaunched the product under the Creotec brand in late 2019. Our team consists of myself and our operations manager based in Spain. We also have a research agronomist and a soil scientist. We have a microbiologist responsible for product development and a regulatory affairs manager who does our product compliance. Commercial traction of Creotec. We have 3 distributors to date, one in Italy, Morocco and Turkey. We sold 2,500 hectares with a revenue of 52,000. We have product registration in 7 countries, and this includes 7 US states. We have 19 validation trials. In the next 12 to 18 months, we expect that we will have another 2 distributors, one in Spain and Germany, and are forecasted to sell 45,000 hectares with a revenue of $732,000. We also will expand our product registrations in Canada and France to make a total of 9, and expect to have around 32 validation trials. We're also working with corporate partners in field trials, and they include Kellogg's, Macquarie Bank, and ICL Specialty Fertilizers. We expect revenue of 8 million by 2025, with an average sales growth rate of 156% over the next 4 years. We expect to break even in 2023, and with an EBITDA margin of 40% by 2025. We're looking at a Series A capital raise to raise $1 million, and the use of funds are intended to scale internationally and strengthen our IP position. Thank you.
Based out of Toowoomba, Queensland, our next startup believes that precision agriculture should be affordable and easy to use. The company aim is to unlock the potential of precision agriculture products and farm data by putting easy-to-use solutions in the hands of every agronomist and producer. Here is Tim Neal, Managing Director of DataFarming.
Yeah, thanks very much for the opportunity to come and talk to you about what DataFarming does. One of the biggest problems we've got in grain production is that crop yield variation is massive. In over the last 20 years, we've been looking at a lot of paddocks, and I tell you, most paddocks have at least 300% variability in yield, and below is a really good example of that, where some areas of the paddock are much lighter yielding than other areas. And if we fix these problems up, we could easily double grain production. What we've done at DataFarming is produce a digital agronomist web app, which provides up-to-date satellite imagery every 5 days anywhere in the world. This allows farmers and agronomists to get a bird's eye view of their farms to really understand the healthy and unhealthy areas of each paddock. This helps manage, understand, and fix the variability that occurs in paddocks. It's so easy to get data. Like within 5 minutes, a farmer anywhere in the world could be getting access to imagery over their farm. They just got a simple sign up, they create a farm, they draw or upload their field boundaries or their paddock boundaries, and instantly they can get access to real-time satellite data. From there, they can zone the paddock and create an application map straight into the spray rig or planter. And this is where we provide value-added products and where people will pay. We also do rapid soil mapping. This is a tool that measures the soil types down to 1.5 meters in the soil without any soil contact at all. And this forms a critical part of understanding the variability in the soil as well. We also have upgrades. So the free data is on the left at 10-meter resolution, and people can pay for upgrades down to 50-centimeter resolution, which is really good for high-intensity crops and more broad-acre crops such as cotton and rice. Benefit from having higher resolution to give you more confidence in the data. In the last 3 years, we've had massive traction. We now are used by 20,000 farms globally. Most of those are still in Australia, and we work with around about 25% of all Australian grain farms. That makes us the most popular precision ag software in Australia right now. And in fact, we've processed 20 million acres of paddock level data across the world in 50 different countries. Our business model is really about growth. It's a pay per hectare. It's not a subscription. We think that's a much better growth model, and we do that using a number of different ways. We go direct to the farmer agronomist, we white label, and also deliver APIs out to a number of other software companies. This means that we've got a near zero cost of customer acquisition. On top of this, we're also building a lot of enterprise solutions, because a lot of people have said, well, you've got all this data, what else can you do with it? And in fact, we're predicting crop type over the whole of Australia each season. And this is an example of us detecting canola and also hay production in those areas. We're also automating field boundary delineation, because one of the biggest problems, as you can imagine, is actually drawing all the paddock boundaries. So we're automating that to help growers and agronomists get better value out of that data and reduce the time reduce the amount of time they need to take to get data accessed. We're also processing 40 million hectares of cropping data every fortnight from the whole of Australia. We're doing things like planted areas, the crop types, rainfall, soil water, and even the crop health, all in real time for a whole range of corporate customers. Thanks for the opportunity. If you'd like to contact me, my contact details are shown there. Thanks again.
Our next pitch highlights a technology from our CSIRO Science to Seed commercialization track. They have developed an environmentally friendly, sprayable, biodegradable polymer membrane product to replace the black plastic most commonly used as a soil and weed block in agriculture. It is my pleasure to introduce Stuart Gordon from TranspiratiONal.
We're all aware the world needs to radically increase food and fibre production to feed and clothe an increasing global population. We know this, and we know that we need to achieve this using the same land areas we do now, but with much less water and more efficient use of agrochemicals. Hello, my name is Stuart Gordon. I'm a senior scientist at CSIRO, where I specialise in crop production and post-harvest processing. Today, I'd like to tell you about a game-changing, sprayable, biodegradable polymer mulch that improves crop productivity, farm returns, and saves the environment. We call it TranspiratiONal. Intensification of agricultural production over the last 30 years has seen an exponential rise in the use of plastic mulch films to save water, suppress weeds, and increase soil temperature. And this has brought an additional burden to our environment. It is estimated that 10 million tonnes of plastic film are used each year in agriculture. Use in China alone accounts for more than 30%, and China, together with the USA and Australia, account for more than 50% of the world's plastic film consumption. Whilst providing productivity dividends, plastic film is costly to remove and dispose of. Complete recovery of the waste plastic is problematic, as the plastic in the field is partly buried, becomes torn and partly degraded, and is difficult to recover. Serious contamination and soil toxicity issues from plastic film debris have already led to enforceable regulations in Europe, and the rest of the world is not far behind in mandating regulations to deal with this product. CSIRO has tackled this challenge by developing a sprayable, biodegradable polymer mulch that, like traditional films, minimises soil evaporation, suppresses weeds, and improves crop water use efficiency. The biopolymer is a water-based polyurethane dispersion that forms a film when sprayed onto the ground. The integrity of the film can be formulated to last as long as is required, after which it will disintegrate and degrade in the soil, leaving no toxic residue. Peer-reviewed trials on a range of crops including tomatoes, melons, sorghum and cotton confirmed increases in crop water productivity in excess of 30% compared with bare soil treatments, as well as suppressing weed growth. The technology also eliminates waste disposal issues facing farmers that use traditional plastic films. The intended end users are small and big farmers alike. Agricultural supply companies will also be key customers. This table provides a summary of CSIRO's sprayable biodegradable polymer mulch against the properties of its direct competitors. You can see CSIRO's mulch is best in terms of degradability, ease of application, and net benefits to the farmer. Traditional plastic films still represent 95% of the mulch market, estimated to be in excess of $4 billion per year. New products over the last 10 years that have tried to improve upon traditional plastic films, largely on environmental and biodegradability grounds, are still not widely adopted, largely because they don't match the CSIRO product for biodegradability, ease of use, and cost benefits. And so why us? Why CSIRO? CSIRO is the inventor of the sprayable biodegradable polymer mulch. It is Australia's national science agency and one of the world's largest and most diverse mission-driven multidisciplinary research organisations. Intrinsic to our science extension is a deep understanding of industrial application domains. You will also know CSIRO is experienced in delivering small scale-up pilots to adapt technology to different environments and has strengths in industrial scale-up and commercialisation. We have established an expert team ready to take TranspiratiONal to the next step. The team includes an entrepreneur in residence and strong BD, commercial and science support. So where are we at in terms of scaling up? Where are we at in terms of scaling up and establishing a business? CSIRO has identified and has excellent relationships with outside parties interested in using, manufacturing, and taking the sprayable biodegradable polymer mulch to market. The completed steps to date include R&D and initial commercial trials complete, IP secured, formulation and manufacturing partners secured, a commercialization team in place, and multinational and local customers ready to go. We just need some investment. We are all aware the world needs to radically increase food and fiber production to feed and clothe an increasing global population. The stars are aligning and the opportunities for this unique and brilliant piece of polymer technology that we call TranspiratiONal have arrived. We look forward to working with Thrive and thank you for the opportunity to bring this pitch to you. Thank you again. Have a great day.
Thank you to all our startups and well done on your excellent pitches. We have 3 awards to announce today. Our People's Choice Award, the Thrive Australia Female Founder Award, and the overall Thrive Australia Challenge winner. Our Thrive team and our judges from CSIRO, CBH Group, Meat and Livestock Australia, Grain Corp, Costa Group, and LIC convened prior to today's event and reviewed the pitches you all saw today. And I'm honoured to announce the winners. For the People's Choice Award, the global agri-food tech community cast their vote for their favourite Aussie startup, and the winner is TranspiratiONal, a science-to-seed research project out of CSIRO. Congratulations to Stuart and the team. For the Thrive Australia Female Founder Award, we are delighted to announce our winner, Brady Olson from Geora, We also plan to identify top female founders for all of our regional challenges. And now for the main award of the day. The Thrive Australia Challenge Award goes to Ceres Tag. This company has wowed our judges with their impressive team, impact, and innovative technology. And we can't wait to see what Ceres Tag is going to do next. Congratulations to all our winners, and thanks again to all of our finalists. Finally, I'd like to say special thanks to our partners, judges, mentors, and our team for making this event possible. And thank you for joining us today. We hope that you can join us for our Thrive Canada Challenge on January 14th and our Thrive Africa Challenge on February 4th. Stay safe, and let's continue to advance the future of food and agriculture through innovation.